Yes, please start.
Good afternoon to all of you. Myself, Dr. Dattatrey Kalbande, librarian, J. Vartumal Sadhubela Girls College, Ulhasnagar. Respected Dr. Zakir Hussain, today's esteemed speaker, Dr. Subhash Chavan, Dr. Vasant Mali, director of this international FDP program, and all the dignitaries, Dr. Vaibhav Narvade, Dr. Subhash Athavle, Dr. Parul Madam, Dr. Durga Madam, organizing secretary of this FDP, and inter-organizing team. I welcome to all of you in today's session. Also, welcome to all participants. Before starting the session, I request to all of you, please be ready for National Anthem and SNDT University song.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you to one and all. In short, I'd like to introduce about organizing institutions. This international FDP program has been organized by SNDT Women's University's Knowledge Resource Center and SSBT School of Library Science in association with Sadhubela Education Societies, J. Vartumal Sadhubela Girls College, Mumbai, and University and College Teachers Association, that is MOOCs. The SNDT Women's University is the first women's university in India as well as in Southeast Asia, founded by Bharat Ratna Maharshi Dr. Golokesh in 1960 for the Nobel cause of women's education. The university is now 104 years old, and I proudly say that this is the only one university that has jurisdiction in all over India. SNDT University offers the courses that is MSc in Home Science with different specialization, MMS in Finance, Marketing, etc., Master in Pharmacy, MSc in Computer Science, MLIC, etc. Knowledge Resource Center or University Library is the largest library in India in academic sector with 3 campuses located in Mumbai and Pune. The library is committed to support teaching, learning and research with the help of latest technological tools. Also, KRC committed to overall development of the college librarians, particularly affiliated college librarians through training programs, workshops, conferences, FDP, lecture series, etc. SSPT School of Library Science is a renowned and well-known department in India, particularly known for the quality education and empowering women students as well as developing skill-based library and information science professionals, or you can say human resources, by offering master degree as well as PhD program. The alumni of this department are working in IIM, IITs, NIT, and national importance level institutions as well as in abroad. Another organizing institute is J. Vartimal Saudivela Girls College, is a Sindhi linguistic minority college. It started in 1994 and is permanent affiliated to the University of Mumbai. The college offers undergraduate and postgraduate courses in commerce and management, BCom, MCom, Bachelor in Management Studies, and Bachelor in Banking and Insurance. The vision of the college is to strive hard to scale greater heights of excellence in higher education. Now, I request to MUCTA representative Professor Meenakshi ma'am, please introduce about association in QS. Meenakshi ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very good afternoon. On behalf of MACTA, once again, I welcome you all. राष्ट्र के हित में शिक्षा, शिक्षा के हित में शिक्षक, शिक्षक के हित में समाज is the main motto of MUCTA. In the line of this objective, MUCTA is helping teachers since its inception, following the path of former President Dr. Shekhar Chandra Atre and General Secretary Dr. Namdev Mandge. Now, under the active leadership of Dr. Vaibhav Naravde as a President and Professor Subhash Atavale as General Secretary, MUCTA is progressing and helping teachers in all the way. The Teachers Education Cell and the Teachers Grievance Cell of MUCTA is now actively functioning to educate teachers and to support the teachers. MUCTA contested university senate elections and 3 candidates could win the election. Initiatives are taken by MUCTA elected members and they are working for the benefit of teachers. Team MUCTA is active in organizing webinars since first lockdown. From first week of April till now, 12 webinars are conducted on innovative topics and we received great response. Almost more than 2,000 teachers across the country and abroad, more than 100 university teachers have participated actively into the webinars. Now, MUCTA has decided to help the colleges and university to provide the technical support to conduct the webinars. As an outcome, colleges and universities are organizing webinars in association with MUCTA. We all are gathered again for the same international FDP in association with SNDT University and its affiliated college. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sir, please take over the charge.
Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Yeah, I know all of you eagerly waiting for the speaker's talk. Before over the respected speaker, it's my privilege to introduce you. Zakir Hussain is a qualified teacher librarian, researcher, and IASL regional director for international schools. Zakir worked at universities and international schools in Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Saudi Arabia. Before moving to his current position at ICS Intercommunity School Zurich, as an early career, he is a researcher with research interests revolved in the field of school librarianship, open access, information literacy, particularly copyright and academic integrity. He has named for several professional awards and grants as a result of his commitment and dedication to the broader community. Today, he will talk about making open access resources reachable for enhancing online library services. Before over to you, sir, there is an announcement for the participants. For question and answer, one WhatsApp number provided to you with the session link. So please send your question related to this talk with your name and institution details. Feedback link will be provided to you at the end of session. announcement is now over. The session, I will like to invite Mr. Zakir Hussain. Please, sir, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me here. I'd like to thanks to the S&D Women's University and for the technical support provided by Mumbai University College Teachers Associations and other associated organizations that are involved with this FGT. Over the last couple of days, actually, there are excellent area of presentations for lots of qualified presenters that we have enjoyed. I've seen that some of them are actually focused on university area, others have done for the college or school-related issues. In my presentations, I will try to address both sectors like school librarianship as well as university, how we actually using the open access can really handle our resources without much of spending money and expertise as well. But what we need is time and commitment, dedication. So before I'm actually getting into my presentation, I have just some housekeeping issues. If you can't hear me well, just text me privately. Plus, I will, during my presentation, I will actually move from my presentation to Google's web browser, because I plan to do actually just not only saying that what I am doing or what it is look like, I also want to show the practically how it is can be done. So please, is there any technical issues from your end? If anything, just let me know. Right. All right, so let's get started. So I'll try to address some of the issues that I have heard about over the last couple of days from different presenters and the participants. And I will also try to share some of my personal experience that what I have implemented over the years in different places that I've worked. How open access can help us actually to mitigate or to, fill the gaps of the digital divide and things like that. So I will try to address some of the open access databases that are available and which can be readily usable for the university, schools, college, and so on. There are lots of open access books portal that we can address. There are lots of, especially universities or research-based universities, they need a huge amount of thesis and dissertations. So I'll try to introduce that as well with datasets, copyright-free images and sounds, university repositories. And then while I will talk about the databases, I will demonstrate how you can search a couple of databases and how the on paywall, a browser extension, can help us to know which article is freely available and which is not. So let's get started with the open access databases. I know that the first one, let's say Google Scholar, is well known to many of you, but I don't know. Recently, Microsoft Academics, they actually have their own platform for academics, academia.edu, ResearchGate, Science Open, Core, and there are many others. At the end, actually, I will show you a page, or I will share with a page that I have curated this kind of open access databases, open source books, repositories, and things like that over the years. So you don't need to probably take the note, just focus on what I'm saying. And if you have questions, you may ask me at the end. First of all, I will introduce, say, a database called Microsoft. I'm not going to work with the Google Scholar because I know that all of you are familiar with that. There is another one is called the DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals, which actually curated lots of open access journals. If you see here, if you see my screen, that you see that there are over 14,000 journals and there are over 4 million articles from 133 countries. So, and it's freely available. So now no one can complain that we don't have financial support, we don't have like money to subscribe the things. That these are openly available and anyone can use them, right? So we as the library professionals need to introduce them to our clients. If I go back to again my presentation, here. So there's another one is Microsoft Academics and ResearchGate and things like that. So I'm trying to actually address one issues that I will address. As I say, there's some practical approach. Do it yourself issues. So I'll try to find an article that whether I can find this article or not. So I'm looking for this article, Copyright Literacy of Library and Information Science Professionals in Bangladesh. I'll try to search this, that whether it is available here or not. So I'll just copy and paste and search that. I'll see that. And it seems that it is not available in Dwaj. So then I can try now to another options I have for, say, academia, for example. So if I go to academia, here it is. And you see that the academia has, again, the normal search button as we see in Google Scholars and things like that. There are millions of publications, authors, topics, and conference, all the things that curated they and almost freely available. If I search this, and I'll see that like here, okay, so this article is available here, but we can get the information, so you can cite this from here. But unfortunately, it is still not freely available. It seems that they will take you, when you click here, you can share with, if you click here, it will take you the main source, but still it is not available. Then we need to, again, we always have to think about out of the box. You can just simply think that like a normal searcher, we are library professional, we need to teach our clients, our users, that how we can think out of the box. Now I'll try ResearchGate, for example. So let's jump into ResearchGate. I'll search this article here. Right. So you can see that, excuse me, should be come to a different way. Well, here it is. So you see that like this article now in ResearchGate is freely available and I can download it actually here. So what I want to say, from this demonstration is that we just not simply depend on one source. Our users need multiple sources, and we as the library professionals need to introduce them these sources, these resources particularly. Now, while I'm here with the databases, I want to share with you another thing is that called Unpaywall. Unpaywall is it's also an open access stuff that has curated actually or make accessible to almost millions of articles with over 50,000 publishers and repositories. Unpaywall has a browser extension. So what happened if I search a particular article, say I'm looking for an article from Dr. Cox, who has recently published an article. I'm looking for that. Now, whether this article is freely available or not, if I click on that, I will easily understand if I have Unpaywall browser extension. So you see that because I have an Unpaywall browser extension, there is a green zone here. It means that this article is freely available. However, when I click on that, and it is directly accessed to here. So how easily we can actually introduce this sort of techniques, this sort of opportunities we have available, and particularly freely available to our users as a library professionals, to encourage and to enrich research and scholarly communication. So I hope this helps. I'll move on with my presentations then. After that, we have ebooks and audiobooks. I have heard actually a lot of issues over the years that like we don't have enough resources, especially in school libraries. We don't have books and things like that. One thing is true that like particularly it is difficult to find out probably some books in Hindi or Bengali or Arabic or whatever. But if your school charter a community which is capable of using English resources, then I would say that there is no scarcity of research. There are lots of resources available out there and freely available. Like for example, Epic. If I talk about Epic, this is the best freely available ebooks portal, which has over 40,000 digital books for K-12 students. And all of them are really interactive with lots of graphics and other things. So school librarians just need to probably link up their web page or things like that, or introduce in your information literacy class that how students and teachers can access and use in classroom context or at home or whatsoever. So and this is particularly for school libraries. And if we again back to our presentations, then I am sure that many of you are informed with the book, Project Gutenberg, which is particularly useful for university context. There is another directory of open access books. We know that there was a directory of open access journal, what we call DOAS, which is very much popular and well known to the university library community. But recently there was initiative taken for the directory of open access books, which can be introduced and also, used in your context. There are lots of other things like, say, one particular things like students these days, from the school librarian perspective, I can say that kids love audiobooks. And if we need audiobooks, there are, like say one example is Audible or Librox. They all are freely available. There are hundreds and thousands of audiobooks freely available, and without violating the copyrights and things like that. I'll address the copyright issues later on if you have any questions. There is Internet Archives from the US-based things. Another one is the International Children Digital Library. International Children Digital Library is interesting because it has the context. The books has many different languages, not only in English. It has maybe in Hindi, in Arabic, in Mongolian, Chinese, whatever you want. Either the collection is more or less, but they try to cover almost all renowned languages for K-12 students particularly. It is a project of UNESCO. So since UNESCO is international organizations, they have to cover almost all the languages that are their member states and things like that. So these are the audiobooks and ebooks. These are just a few of them actually. And I will, at the end, as I say that, I will show you a list of books and databases, datasets that I have curated over the years. But these are just few. There are hundreds and thousands of out there in many different languages, not only in English. Now then, it is probably like thesis and dissertation, particularly focus on the university context. But if your school is an IB World School, like what we call, like my school is an IB World School, and our students during their diploma program in grade 11 and 12, they have to do a 4,000 word research project, what we call extended essay. They need lots of resource support, and they use actually some sort of thesis and dissertations related to their topics. So, but I know that the most of the cases is for the university related issues. There is another open access thesis and dissertations, things like DOAS and DOAB, like Directory of Open Access Books and Open Access Journal, this one. in European consortium, there is called DART, is the European universities, European member state universities, they have a consortium, and almost all the famous universities are the member of this part, and they actually share their university repositories with DART. And so when we search DART, basically information come from those university repositories. EBSCO often dissertation, we know that EBSCO is a big, giant in the scholarly world, but it is hard to get something free from EBSCO. One thing is interesting that EBSCO have an open dissertation portal. So for the moment of open access, some publishers like EBSCO, Emerald, Springer, and others have some commitments to the open access moment. With that commitment, open access, EBSCO open access actually came up with their open access dissertation, which you can try and introduce you again to the users, especially research students. Ethos is managed by the British Library, which has over 5 million theses for master's thesis and PhD thesis or dissertation. If I go to the Ethos, for example, or dissertations, like say, if I go Ethos, if I click Ethos here, search on Google, Ethos British Library. And then here is the interface for Ethos, and this is, it's loading.
Dr. Zakir Hussain, can I interrupt? Yes. Sir, you are
Yes.
sharing the live screen?
Yes, do you see that?
No, sir, we are just seeing your PPT. So every time you open a new screen, you will have to share the screen again.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I wish I could hear it earlier.
No, it's okay. Now you can continue. Thank you.
All right. I'm sure that now is fine, right? Do you see that?
Yes, sir. Now it's fine.
All right. Okay, so if I have time, then later I will address the things that I already have done earlier. I think that was really interesting, that the things I have shown earlier about unpaywall. Okay. So this is the British Library Ethos, and there are over 5 million doctoral theses they curated, and it's freely available. So if I say looking for a doctoral thesis related to, say, copyright, for example. So, and there are almost like 332 reports about copyright issues. And when we see that, like that, which one is freely available and which one is not, we can easily see that. So if I click any of them, for example, it will take me to the original sources, like say copyright in the public libraries area, public interest. And then this thesis is actually came from Ebooks University in the UK. Now, if I want to download it, then I have to go to the Ebooks University repository. So if I click on that, it will take me to the original sources of the thesis where the university curated their theses in their university repository. If I scroll down, and I see that here, you see my cursor here, that this is a document that is freely available and it's a PDF. So that's how actually we can introduce again. I'm repeating the things again and again over that because we need to empower our users, not to depend on us all the time. They need to be independent in terms of their scholarly communication, in terms of scholarly search, scholarly discovery, what you say. So if we introduce these things, even in the school level, our students for the diploma program, especially grade 11, 12, probably in Indian subcontinent, they pretty much know these things and they are capable of handling those things from themselves. But initially, for the first time, we have to introduce them these things. And they still need your help. At least they know if they need any resource. Besides the subscribed databases, we still have open access staffs, because literally, if we think about the subscriptions, we can't really subscribe hundreds and hundreds of databases from a university perspective, no matter where it is and how, financially solvent university it is. So we still need open access, especially in the Indian subcontinents or developing countries where financial issues is a big matter. We can really depend on open access resources. There is open access databases, again, particularly related to the universities, which are heavily related to research or the research institutions. So librarians, those who work in research institution and universities, they might be interested in research data sets. So data sets it is not that old phenomenon. It comes up with, like, sometimes scholars don't have really that much time to write an article. So what they do, that once they have done a research or a lab test, they try to, they immediately share their research data, statistical things, or what you can say, that the raw data. For example, now the COVID, and lots of researchers are doing their research. But now if we want to write an article with the lots of literature review and things like that, it takes time. But this kind of pandemics, we need immediate solution, and we don't want the research duplication. So how we can avoid the duplication is probably sharing the raw data. And those raw data are actually curated by lots of organizations. We can say that, like, say, Google, for example, Kaggle. Kaggle is from Google, and Google start curating the data sets, especially machine learning related to data sets. Then there are government issues, for example, US government, for example, almost all their federal statistical data are available in the public domain. They curated under the data.gov. I'm originally from Bangladesh, and our government is actually have a data.gov.bd. So our government tried to curate all the government related data to a particular portal where researcher, the mass people can access to the data for them. Now the question is how reliable is that? Might be a different questions, but we still have the things to do, things to access or to get at least basic starting of our research. So this could be introduced actually for our researchers, for the research students, and those who are interested in research, even within our library professionals. Also back to the institutional repositories. As far as I'm concerned, that I know when back in 2010 or before, there was a revolutions in the Indian subcontinents to create the institutional repositories. So this is pretty much familiar with Indian subcontinents. And things now really got better. Now we have the open access DOAR, like the Directory of Institutional Repositories. We have lots of universities. They again curated, like say, for example, Arizona State University Library. They have a good number of resource repository list from various universities in the US. California State University Library, the other one, has curated a list of institutional repositories, so that we don't need to really spend time for that, like to discover something new. There are lots of freely available stuff out there. And we as a librarian or a library professionals know how to search effectively. We know how to control the search flow. If we can get, like, for example, in Arizona State University Library, there are databases, institutional repositories. Can somebody tell me that, is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
See my face?
Yes, it is visible. It is visible. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So this open access resource set, you see that, like, there are lots of other universities which has the institutional repositories. So we can just link on a website. And this building a website is simply available, and you don't need to really any technical or what is called programming knowledge. You can just like build up something with the basic knowledge, and I'll show you how you can do it in a while. So these are all the things that we can link to our library website and introduce to our users to empower themselves as a researcher, as a scholar. Right, so that's the institutional repositories. I would like to go back a little bit earlier that unfortunately I didn't know that I was, my screen was not shared. I was trying to share like an article. If we search an article, for example, any of these databases, and how we can discover that from when we don't get one after another. For example, I say that I was looking for an article that's called Copyright Literacy and Literacy of Library and Information Science Professionals in Bangladesh. So I will initially search that actually using the what is called Microsoft Academics. So Microsoft Academics is almost like Google Scholar, but Microsoft has their own platforms, and you know that like Microsoft and Google is pretty much competitive all the times. They don't want to be dependent on each other. So here, if I click on that, now you see that like this article is available on Microsoft Academics, but unfortunately this I cannot download from here. I can go to the original source and things like that. If I click on that, for example, let's see where it takes me. It takes me here, and there is probably no options that I can download. Now, as a library professional, as I said earlier, I have to duplicate simply because I know that last time it wasn't audible. Now I will try to search it on, say, ResearchGate, for example, another open access scholarly database, which curated over 26,000 research items. If I search on here, and you see that this article is freely available and you can download from here. So the bottom line is that we have to introduce our users to the different way, not just like give up when I can't find something on academics, Microsoft Academics or Google Scholar or Directory of Open Access Journal. We have to go beyond the box. Another example I have shown earlier is, so I'm looking for an article from Dr. Cox. So if I search it, it comes up here. So this is from Emerald, and usually Emerald publications are not freely available. But then what we can do, if one of my user asks me that, okay, I need this article, and our library say doesn't subscribe Emerald, what I can do. So if I have, this is, if you see the symbol here, the yellow one is called Unpaywall. Unpaywall is a browser extension. Usually it imply or inform us that whether this particular article is openly available or not. If I have a green signal, it means that it is open access or it is somewhere available openly. If I have a gray, it means that it is not openly available. So now if I click on just simply on here, the Unpaywall icon, and it takes me here. And you see that like this is the journal article from the university repository. It actually came from university repository. If we see here, it didn't came from the MRL itself, as MRL is not free. It came from the university repositories. So that's how these things, like say, for example, the Unpaywall help us or save our time particularly to find out the open access articles easily, right? So I've done that. Now the question is that we know that like we have open access databases, open access books, articles or repositories, dataset. Now how we can make these open access resources reachable? And I know that many university libraries, I mean almost all university libraries, they have their web presence, even many school libraries. So the one particular or one simple answer might be that just to link those open access resources on a university website, university library website, for example. And not only actually linking those things, but we need to educate our users how they can use those things. Now everyone is talking about COVID is suddenly come and we don't have like preparation for these things, but that open access, for example, these things could be a very useful initiatives from your end, that how you can still serve your community with their resource need and things like that, because we have the resource there and we just need to introduce them. For example, in my context, in our context, hello, do you hear me?
Please go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, your audio is correct, sir.
But I'm here, so I'm just like listening some background noise. All right, okay, let's jump in again. So how we can make them access this resource access reachable? The simple thing is that like free website builders, there are lots of website builders out there, like say Google Sites, Wix, Weebly, WordPress, or Padlet, for example. And I'll show you some examples, like say how simply using the Google Sites, if you don't already have a website, university, library website or school library website, how you can just simply make it. I'll show you a Google website example. Like say, if I click on that, it will take me a library website, which is in Korea. One of my friends is working there, and it's called Berksham Hall Asia Library. And they actually built a nice library website using the Google site. And the literally is very simple. You don't need really any technical knowledge to create this kind of things. Then another one is Wix, for example, or WordPress. This is my example when I used to work in Vietnam, actually, years ago. I created this library website freely available using the Wix WordPress stuffs, and you can literally to connect any resources, like say online resources, academic honesty, or whatever you do, you can do it. The easiest one, I would say, that is Padlet. So a friend of mine who is working in Italy, she has curated a nice resource list for her users before COVID, actually. So this is the Padlet. What is the easy thing is that you don't need any technical support or anything. Just click on plus and you can add your resources with the pictures or with a link, and that's there. Just introduce your users and they will be able to access to the resources that you created. Like she has a database and often access academic papers and lots of other things. So while I'm here, I'll share with you one of our things. Although ours is not a free versions, we use LibGuides, which maybe many of you are familiar with. This is our library website, and we are using the LibGuides platform as it is paid. So I'm pretty much work with the DPS students, which we called grade 11 and 12. And you see that like for the COVID, we have online book request forms, which we create the book list and students can send us the book request that they need. I'll just simply show you the DP website that what I have done actually years ago. So we have the core databases. So those we subscribe, and then we have open access databases. We have Google Scholar, ResearchGate, all the things that I have just shared are here. And it's years ago, not about anything related to COVID or the recent editions. These all are long ago. So our students, especially when they do their 4,000 word extended essay or what you can call a mini thesis, they need those support. And these are there already before. So we didn't actually really take any particular initiatives during the COVID because already the stuffs are there. And our students know that even the library is closed, we have to get the materials. I'm not claiming that actually we're 100% serving our community without the physical existence of the library, but there are resources out there and we are actually serving the physical materials as well. Anyway, this is probably depend on the context because in Switzerland, I mean, it is fairly easy that if students need books and we can just post by $1. And it's because in international school, our school has that budget and things like that. So that's completely probably the different aspects. Now, if we go back to our presentation, so these are the websites that we can use to create a simple database website for us and where we connect all the resources that we have. Now, still, if we want to make our website much better, more user-friendly, we probably need some technical support. And this is also freely available. There are hundreds and thousands of open access courses out there, what we call MOOCs. Until that yesterday, one of the presenters talked a little bit about the MOOCs, Kishore probably. He said about the MOOCs. So we have lots of MOOCs out there, Coursera, hundreds of famous universities offering courses related to even librarianships, edX or Allison, FutureLearn, and most of all, YouTube is out there. How to create a website or how to create a web page is fairly easy for us to know and to do. Allison, for example, they have an excellent course on website. How can you build up a website, for example, like how to create your first website. So we just need to know that actually where it is and how we can do that. Right. Coursera, for example, Coursera offer a lots of courses, and I have personally taken a lots of courses from Coursera over the years. Yesterday, and also probably the Kishore, he was talking about the 21st century librarians' skills. And one of the issues is copyright and IP or intellectual property related issues that over the years it's becoming more and more important, that because things are open access, things are readily available online, but whether I can use it or no. That's why we as a library professional or information professional, we need copyright literacy. I know that many universities already in undergraduate or postgraduate level, they cover the copyright issues, but it is very evolving and it's changed all the time. So like digital to music or whatever. So Coursera has a really nice course called the Copyright Literacy for Educators and Librarians, an offer from the it's a 3 university joint venture, basically. So you can try it. If you are working in public library, for example, edX offer a course for public librarian under the University of Michigan. There is a FutureLearn, which if you are working in high school or middle schools, Makerspace is a huge, popular stuff these days in the school library area. There is a course like how to build a makerspace in your library. So what I want to say that like things are out there, but we need to just make it happen for our users, for ourselves. We need time, we need commitment, and we need to think first of all out of the context. Right. Now, as I said earlier, I will share a list of resources that I've curated over the years, which has ebooks or audiobooks, datasets, copyright-free images, or copyright-free sounds, and lots of other book stuffs, like particularly school library related, but it can be useful probably in university context as well. So if I go to the website, I've curated the resources over the years. So this is under the resource sections, and you see that if you scroll down, there are lots of other things, especially for the school librarians. These things like the graphic novel collections or digital citizenship. I know that the other day, Hinda Mehta was talking about the digital citizenship stuff, or even how you as a librarian, particularly school librarian, even the university library, we have lots of responsibility of teaching information literacy. Where we get those resources? Because from my background, I can say that what I am doing right now is probably nothing I have learned in the university. So we have to enrich ourselves. So where do we get the resources? We have resources readily available here. How you can, the lesson plans, how you can probably teach the research skills, how you can teach the information literacy skill, plagiarisms, academic honesty, and so on and so forth. So if I click on this one, for example, as I said that, this one I've just done during the first week of COVID, because I thought that like many library professionals and librarians actually may suffer during the library closure for COVID. And I thought that, okay, let's make a resource pack where everything, or at least something that is readily available and people can use without spending time. So from that thought, actually, I created this open access page where I have enlisted the open access audio. I mean, all the books are here. So primary, for university level, for school library, whoever it is, it can be, I mean, it is useful for any one of you. See, there are like lots of audiobooks as well. And there are, which is very important, probably many of our contexts, like especially Indian subcontinent. So there are other international languages like Arabic. I mean, what I have came across, I try to edit, but I know that there are lots of out there, which I probably not come across or I didn't know it. Then we have the databases. As I say that I have shared with you some of them, but there are many more freely accessible databases that we can introduce to our users. Open access or OER, what is called Open Educational Resources, the datasets, even some of the paid giant, what is called that information or scholarly articles or journals provider, JSTOR, for example, or EBooks during the COVID, they have allowed access to actually for a freely available, like say 30th of June or things like that. I try to address those things here as well, so that users or those who are interested, they can use it. And one other thing is that especially in the international schools, we are really adhere with the copyright issues and things like that. I'm sure that in the university level, it is the same practice. There are lots of websites and there are lots of platforms that have copyright-free images that we can use for educational purpose, or even some of them from commercial issues. So say, for example, Creative Commons, and I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the Creative Commons. So Creative Commons has a huge portal that curated copyright-free images. Copyright-free images in the sense that like the creator give permission, exclusive permission to the users for, say, just to use for non-commercial purpose, or some of them even for commercial purpose, and things like that. If you're involved with, many of you probably are working in the music schools or music department and things like that, you need sometimes the free sounds. Here it is that, again, the Creative Commons has a good collections of sounds. There are many others, like say Flickrs or MOOCs, many others. YouTube as well. Also, some of the stuffs are freely available and readily available, basically as an open access. Right. I think I'm pretty much done, and I'm happy to address any questions you may have or any comments that like to ask.
Hello.
Hi.
Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. There are so many questions from participants. First one is, hello. Hello.
Yeah, I do hear you.
Yes. There are so many open access databases for research. Which one is biggest and has covered all the open access resources? Is there any artificial intelligence search for open access available? This is question from Sandeep Bhavsar, librarian, Wellington Institute.
Well, there is no one size fits all things in the world, right? We can't get everything together. But as you see that, like say, you are talking about the artificial intelligence. Google itself is an artificial intelligence. So when you search a particular article, it shows that where it is available. For example, like so it gives us different links that this article may be available here or there. Now, people make our lives, some people, like some dedicated people actually makes our life easy. And that's why we have the open access directories. For example, like DOAS, Open Access Directory, Journal, DOAS, DOGA, Directory of Open Access Journals, or Open Access Books. So if you search there, if the journal published one of those 40,000 journals, it will come up there, for example. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure that only one database that can cover the whole knowledge, whole scholarly knowledge by one. Hope that answered your question.
Second question, sir. What is role of librarian in developing MOOCs in your school has developed? The question from Dr. Sarika Sawant, Assistant Professor, SHPT School of Library Science.
Look, there are lots of research been happening actually over the years about the librarians' roles of MOOCs. And it is this day, it is not really difficult. When I was in Vietnam working 5 years ago, I created a MOOCs on, say, plagiarisms and academic integrity using freely, YouTube's, for example, like I used to have my channels and just like I record my voice and send it to my students as a blended learning approach. Librarians are always supporting actually the faculties and the people who are involved or creating the MOOCs. Now, we particularly, if for our services, if say, for example, like how to do a research or how to avoid plagiarisms, how to cite a source and things like that, we can create probably mini MOOCs for each and every topics to reach to our users and put all of them together. Our schools particularly didn't create actually any MOOCs, but we do have lots of mini video projects and we put them all together for our users just to, so that they can access in terms of, they still have questions. They're coming to us physically, and students and the teachers, our users will always need a physical librarian. We still exist and we will be exist, but we're trying to make them empowered, not just come simply for every question they have, like say how to cite the article. They don't need to come there because I already have created stuff, just try them. Now, if someone said that I went somewhere, I have visited a museum and I take a picture, how can I cite it? Maybe that is critical, and that probably we can't answer at that time, but then we can create based on our community questions, we can create a FAQ, like frequently asked questions, and we can address there. That's what we do actually in our context. So what I have done is just basically, I would say that most of from my interest, it was not school requirements, but it is useful now at this context. Thank you.
Another
question, sir. How far open access resources are authentic for medical library users? Question from Lakshman, Acharya BM Reddy College of Pharmacy.
That's a very interesting question. And because we as a librarian, not just simply throw our users to the ocean of information, we need to provide them the authentic information that are useful for their context. Now, the good things is that, for example, the open access resources I have shared with you, we can say that these are authentic. Why I'm saying it authentic? For example, Directory of Open Access Journal. These are a directory of journals which are actually, published from different publishers for over the years. So those are peer reviewed. Those are at least from expert people. Now, if you spend some time, for example, Directory of Open Access Journals or academia.edu or even Google Scholars, you have options to choose, like whether you are looking for information of only the peer reviewed, you are looking for scholarly journals, you are looking for, like say, expert. You can choose that and you can refine your search and give the authentic one to your users. But overall, no one can guarantee that 100% authentic, but I'll say that from my experience, most of the open access directories or databases or repositories that I've shared are authentic. Even particularly the repositories, for example, where the repositories come from? Universities, and students actually have produced the thesis or dissertation or things like that. And this is the university responsibility to make sure that this work is authentic. Once they confirm that, then it comes to their website. That's what at least we believe in. But we have no way to confirm 100% for that that it is, authentic, 100% authentic or not. But as I say that, I believe that most of the open access, at least the renowned open access databases, journals, and things like that are authentic and can be usable for any context, regardless of medical university or technical or whatever. Thank you.
Zakir, if you could stop your screen sharing, I think that will help to see your picture as well.
Thank you. I'll do that.
Yeah. Another question, sir, from Krishna Swami Govindan, librarian, Anna Center Library, Chennai. For open access, are there any issues of copyright law?
Yes, as I said, that I have addressed a little bit. Copyright is a very evolving issue. Today it is like this, and tomorrow, because of the format of our information, is evolving. But we as a librarian need to know one particular issue is the fair use. Whether the information I'm giving to my users, is it for a fair use? Is it for scholarship, or is it for business? What is open access, for example? It is open access because the producer or the creator make it open. That's why it is open access. So we can say that we may not have that big issues of using open access as a copyright issues. But then we have to really understand there are two particular issues, and often people actually misunderstood those two things is ethical and legal issues. Copyright is a legal issues, whereas ethical matter is academic honesty or academic integrity, or what we call citation referencing in a simple matter. Even the things is copyright free, but you still need to cite them, acknowledge them. So if I'm a researcher, who doesn't want that my work is cited over and over again? Because that's the beauty of research, right? So if because sometimes because of the obligation, we may not make our articles. Like say, I published an article on Springer and I can't make it still like openly available is simply because I have the agreement with the publishers that I can't make it openly available. If I could do that, maybe I could get even more citations. So back to your questions that there might be some issues about copyright, even if it is open access, when you are not acknowledged that. You as a librarian or information professionals need to be always careful wherever you use, double check it. If there is a say called that like, if doubt, double check. If you feel confused that whether I should share it, is it ethical or legal to share with my users or not? Particularly as I say that for open access issues, these things are already open there. And we are not using the context directly. We are not downloading every single article from where it was open access. We are actually linking the stuff to the databases, to the repositories. So we are not actually downloading this thing. And this is for sure that's not copyright violation. Hope this answers your question.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question from Dr. Sridhar, CSIR, Hyderabad. Impact of Sci-Hub on scientific literature, whether it is considered open access.
Can you tell me again the name of?
Impact of Sci-Hub.
Sci-Hub. I'm not familiar
on scientific literature.
Okay. I'm sorry that actually I can't tell you that it is because I'm not quite familiar with that.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
I request Dr. Dattatreya to ask some questions.
Yeah. Sir, one question from Aisha. How to reach this your free resources library?
Second, please.
How to reach this your free resources library?
Oh, okay. Well, I actually, in my presentation, I shared that as a link, but if you just, okay, if you get my presentation, I'm sure that the organizer are going to actually share the presentation with the participants if they request. So it is actually linked there. So if you get my presentation, you will get the resources that I've curated over the years, or you can simply search like my name, and you will get my website, and it is there. If you just okay, I'm going to share my screen just to answer these questions in a better way. So if you see that, this is my website. This is my personal website. So if you click on the resource here, just click on resource, and that all are here. So this is my website, and just researchtl.net. Plus, as I said, that it is already on my slides as linked. Thank you.
Okay, I think all questions have been covered. So I request Varsha ma'am, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. There is another question, sir, from Shweta Bhavsar. What is your opinion about Plan S? And would you like to tell us about Grey Literature IR or any other database?
I would say that I have really little knowledge about the Grey literature or things like that. Probably last year I was taking a course online actually about open access things. And it is still, I would say that my understanding is that it is still not clear for the whole community, including myself, because people are facing the lawsuit, people are facing the challenge from the publishers, from the database provider, that although the researchers are really happy to share their stuff, but because of other challenges, it is still not, happening, especially what I understand, the open science or open literature or Grey literature and things like that. But I must admit that I have little knowledge of this kind of things to comments actually, whether it is like, what you say, that way or not. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Next question is, apart from read aloud session and narrative stories, what other innovative activities can be conducted online for school students? It is from Monisha Ambede, Mumbai.
Well, this is really depend on the context. Now I have to understand that whether my users are, like what they can afford. Say during the first couple of weeks, our school was closed. Now we are open, actually, we are on campus. But that time we use Google Meet, for example, and we take our information literacy classes. Students are doing their research. We go there and we reach them online and help them if they need any support or things like that. Even during the first couple of weeks, I was working with our visual arts students, those who are working with their presentations for their academic integrity related issues. Now, our primary librarian, as you say, that we're doing for reading aloud. But one thing I can tell you that immediately that's come to my mind, and we are doing, like, we are using the Padlet. We are doing like a kind of competitions. Say we open the Padlet for a particular books or a group of users, and we are asking that, okay, post a photo that you are reading the first day. And the second day we did that, write a couple of sentences that you found while reading that book's interesting. So everyone is actually sharing, and it encourages them reading, because when my friend is sharing something, it means that I have to do that, because you know that kids like that. Kids follow their fellow students and they try to participate. That can be one thing. I know also that other librarians, for example, are doing many other things. If you are particularly, work in international schools, probably there are lots of Facebook pages that international school librarians are sharing their outputs. I know that one of the other librarians in Switzerland, she's doing that virtual reading writing lab. So she's helping her students in terms of writing improvement. I know other librarians are doing Padlet, but not in terms of reading, but they are using for the music purpose. They're asking students to see, the curriculum-based stuff for singing or for performing things. Our visual art students, our visual art teachers are actually offering that students need to use the Google Drawing, and they're sharing their learning online. So there are many other ways, probably, things going on, but in our context, we have done the Padlet issues for reading promotion. We are doing also the pre-DeFi for grade 10. on Padlets and Google Classroom. Thank you.
Sir, another question is from Prashant Kallodi from Kolhapur. What about user statistics of all open source resources linked on your library portal?
Sorry?
What about user statistics of all open source resources linked on your library portal?
That's a good question, actually. The platform we are using, for example, that's called LibGuide, and I'm sure that many university librarians, they are familiar with that. From the LibGuides, you can actually take the user statistics that for the monthly or weekly or yearly. So it seems that I must admit that we have done a couple of times, and it is satisfactory, but it is not really the way we thought, because students like, at the end of the day, they like Google. They don't want to come to the library website. They just, if they need something, they start Googling. That's one reason that we don't get lots of hits. The other reason is because on our website, actually, on our library website, we link the open access resources. So when they click on the open access resources, they go to their platform, not stay anymore to our platform. That doesn't actually, from the, what is called, from LibGuide point of view, that doesn't count as a hit. So therefore, the number of users shows not that high, although they are using the materials almost every frequently. But first of all, actually, I know that it is important for probably administrative perspective that we need to show our administrator that how many people are using our stuff. But in our context, just say fairly that our context is to make the things available to our users, not to count how many times they come in. I know that what is called, it probably influences us sometimes that if we say that many users are using, but I'm sure that there are users are there, but maybe they come in one way or the other. Sometimes probably in a different way, not that doesn't count from our LibGuides. But if you use WordPress, for example, that I used to use a couple of years ago where in my previous school, that count every single hit actually as a hit. So you can see that, like if you use the states option, you will see that how many times that page is hitted. Thank you.
Another question is from Sai Singh. Which software will be perfect for making institutional repository?
If you go to the slide that I've shared with you, California State University library listed a list of what is called, I'm going to share my screen and you see that California State University Library share a list of open access institutional repository platforms. So click on that. Yeah, California State University listed. I know that like many Indians, I see that even in Bangladeshi librarians, they are using DSpace. For example, it's quite well known probably in Indian context or Indian subcontinental context. But I know that many US universities, they are using bpress, but sometimes it's called Digital Commons Network. So as I say that, my school is an international school. Financial issues is not a matter here. We are not going for open access stuff for creating our institutional repositories. We pay like 1,200 euro per year for our LibGuide platforms that I shared with you earlier, this one. So my personal interest probably about open access, but the school much doesn't care about open access. They just best they need, no matter how much it costs, honestly and frankly speaking. So in terms of your questions, if you ask me that which digital repository or institutional repository is best, I think if it is in Indian context, then you probably go for DSpace because you will get a lot of support from others because professionals are using that. You need support from them. So if you have any technical issues, you can ask someone else, those who already have implemented those issues, and you may have better support than you are using bpress. Maybe not Indian universities or Bangladeshis or Sri Lankan universities are using that stuff. So go, what community does. But if you are thinking that now I want to do something out of the box, I want to, what is called, doing something not what everyone is doing, I want something even better or even like different, then you can try the BPress, but you then need to be expert in that case. And you need to build up a community of support that you may need while you are starting doing that. Thank you.
One question, sir. What is your opinion on open access fee to be paid by author? It's question by Dr. Parul Zaveri, Associate Professor, SHPT School.
My opinion is that we need to save our creator. So the people who are doing research, writing books, writing articles, we need to save them one way or the other. Now, especially in the university context, if you publish an article, it's related to your promotion, it's related to your probably financial issues and things like that. Many universities have the intensive for actually, if you publish a number of articles for a class journal or things like that. I would say that you are actually already get intensive from the university for that, right? In that case, like either promotion or financial support or joining the conference school is providing you. And now, if I think from the philanthropic point of view, I am a man of open access. I believe in open access. So I think that what I do, the right to know. So that's why I put my stuff online available. Anyone can use that. So not everyone thinks that, but we need to, as I said, that we need to save the authors. And there was actually one of the ebook portal I share with you is called the Internet Archive. There was a lawsuit came actually against that because the author claimed that if people get everything freely available, who is going to buy our book? If you have the concept of Google Book Project, you know that like it is pretty much, it is stopped sort of because Google can't actually fight against the authors or the publishers. So we need to probably, I don't know, is there any existing policy for that? But I think we need to, come to a solution for our creator, like the authors, especially for the song composer or singer or for the book writer, how they can survive. Should the government actually give some intensive for them? Or there should be another way that we can actually encourage those people and, not actually harm them financially, right? And that's why actually we have the copyright law, by the way, also. So if an author, for example, myself, if I have an article and if I say that, no one cannot use my article without my permission, without purchasing that, I can do it. You probably know that the Creative Commons, when we produce something, is automatically copyrighted under my name, no matter where you are, especially without the geographic location. So now if I don't want people share my things available, I can do it. There are many other people in the world who want they just create the stuff and ask for people that, okay, you use it. So that's actually open access. So there's I think two different contexts, but I do agree in the concept of that we need to nurture our creator by giving the intensive from the government or from other way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Another question, sir. If we received full article in Institute repository, which is not available in Emerald website, will be there any copyright issue? A question by Kailas Tande, Gujarat.
Interesting questions. And my initial response is no. Why? And now I have to show, because I work in a school library and you know the problem that in school, actually, we can't really provide the lecture like the way I'm giving, because every single things we have to demonstrate to our students why it is like that. And I have a favorite stuff, what I always do with my students is called DIY, do it yourself. So I'm taking you to the do it yourself sessions, and then I'll show you that why it is not actually a copyright issue. If I can share my screen again. here. There you go. So you see my screen, and I was earlier sharing this is an article just recently published from MRL. That example I have given. And you see that if I search this article on Google Scholar, I'm going to Google Scholar. Do you see my screen?
Yes. No, sir, you have to share it again.
Thank you. Okay, I'll do that. Right. I think it should work now.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is Google Scholar, and the article I have just copied from this document is a recently published article. And it is now, this article is, see that it seems that it is available. But this is very interesting, and that's why I actually bring this article as an example. If I click here as a PDF, and let me show you that what it has happened, it doesn't actually take me to the article, it takes me to the PhD thesis of that particular author. So I'm looking for an article, but it takes me, the Google Scholar takes me to the doctoral thesis of that particular, then what I can do. And this is the challenge for you as a librarian. And this is the time to show you the smartness. And what I did, you know, that I tried to go to each and every author, their personal website or their university website. And I go to ACOX, his website, his university repository, for example. So if I search his name online here, and you see that it probably come up here. He's working in University of Sheffield, and his university profile. Now, if I scroll down, if I go to his publication, and excuse me, you see that this publication is available in his in his personal profile. So now, if I want to view this article in this one of them, if I click here, and it will take me to a place where I can actually download the article. So you see that here is my open access, what is called unpaywall browser. It shows that this article is available, or I can just simply click here. And you see that this is the article. This is not the PhD thesis. So that's how you as a librarian need to see how you can actually find that particular things. Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir. Another question, Dr. Muthumari from Tamil Nadu, how to manage open access content?
Open access?
Content.
That is probably not the difficult issues for my context, as I have shown you that how we have done, how we have curated our context. But from the university and over the years, when you actually start curating more and more and more, that time maybe it might be a bit challenging, I would say that. But you have to have a plan that how you want to, you see that on my context, that's our open access page. And I try to put the books in one page. And then we have the databases, we have the copyright images. And now you see that when I was actually working for the databases, then I have a problem that whether should I put the thesis and dissertation and the what is called data set with the databases or not. This is a question. Now, if you work in the university context, and if you actually have a bigger plan that over the years I want to actually make this project a bigger one, then I would say that you try to curate the contents, first of all, the broader aspect, like say databases, and then you again subdivide them as a subject, like say for engineering, for medical, for agriculture, for social science, and things like that. That will help your users to actually get the stuff in a click or two, because we should not actually put our users to so many clicks, because after a couple of seconds, they will feel bored and they will just simply leave the stuff and they will not come here. They will go to Google because if they have something simple, why I have to struggle here? So we need to make it openly accessible plus quick reachable, not really complex, 1 or 2 clicks maximum. So as I said that probably the subject issues, for example, like books or ebooks, then subject or databases, the department wise or the discipline wise, or maybe even the bigger aspect, like say we can call like social science, engineering and things like that. That's the way maybe you can better manage. That's my personal opinion. Maybe many people have their different way of, arranging the stuff. It depends on your community. You know better your community, and based on your community, you will, arrange your stuff. That's the best approach, I would personally believe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. There are many more questions, but due to lack of time, we cannot give answer to each and every question. So please share your email. We'll send the questions to you. Then the participants will be, they will know answers.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you. My email address to share
yes,
on
sir.
the slide, by the way.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I express my gratitude towards today's speaker, Dr. Zakir Hussain, for honoring our request and gracing this session and delivering an informative talk. He has shown us many resources for readers from school level to university students, from audiobooks to thesis and dissertations. These resources are very important, especially for a country like India, where finances are limited. We will definitely be looking at all of these resources. I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to Dr. Zakir Hussain. Thank you, sir. I would also like to express my thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, and Registrar, SNDT Women's University, for supporting us. Thank you all FDP team members for making this event successful. I also thank Chairman and Principal of Watuman Sadhubela Girls College for associating with us. Thank you very much, Dr. Vaibhav Narwade, sir, and Dr. Athawale, sir, and MOOCs team for providing technical support to us. And again, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all participants for their active participations. I'm sure participants must have enjoyed the session. Once again, thank you all. All participants are requested to fill the feedback form of today's session. It is mandatory to all. The feedback form link is shared on Telegram group and also available in the comment box of today's YouTube streaming. Please fill up the form. Tomorrow's session will be delivered by Dr. Naseem Iqbal from Australia on records management is not rocket science. It will be followed by valedictory session at 11:30 Indian Standard Time. Thank you all. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.